Futures and options on futures trading involve substantial risk and is not a suitable investment for all types of investors. Past results are not necessarily indicative of future results. When I use the word I in this video, it refers to what I teach in my charting course or what I author in my twice daily oral and written updates. Prices shown on charts and quote boards are in real time and take into account all known activity up to this point in time. And if you'd like to read more of this disclaimer, simply hit the pause key on your video player. Good morning and good upcoming weekend from Ira. Good morning. I'm Ira Epstein of Lynn & Associates with your morning flash update for this Friday, the 5th of May, 2017, about 9:15 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Before we get on to the price action per se, if we look, we had the monthly non-farm payrolls. They came in at 211. They expected 188, so those are good numbers. And you take the unemployment rate down to numbers we haven't seen in many, many years, and that's going to be 4.4%. The revised non-farm from March, well, that dropped 20,000. If you actually look at this, they both are offsetting each other, very, very close to it. And if you look at the private sector payrolls, that is where you had a big jump as well. We can look at the labor force participation, but I think that the thing the market's going to look at is the highlight of the report is the slowdown in wage growth. We are not seeing yet wage inflation. However, this report does absolutely nothing to take the Fed off track for a June rate hike. So if they want to do that, they can go with it. In fact, you're looking at the chance of a Fed rate hike in June if you go to the CME Fed Group watch page, which I recommend everybody does. You'll see that the probabilities are 80 to 83%. They're gyrating back and forth in there of a June hike. So the market's pricing that in. The question then will be, is it going to be a September hike after that or a December? Could you get 3? Maybe, but I don't know that the market's really got the stomach for that. You went up for new highs this morning in the NASDAQ, as you can see. You've backed off a bit, but you're close to unchanged. Dollar index still under pressure as we're seeing still money come out of the yen. The word has come out of the yen, money coming out of the gold market at the same time. Bonds and notes, well, at first they've tried to rally after that, but they're coming back down in line with higher interest rates. Interesting, though, on the energies. You've gone back under those November prices that you had when OPEC first made its announcements. So this rally from roughly $43 went up to the low 50s and back down to under where the November price was. What has stabilized the market today is the OPEC energy minister coming out and saying they believe they have everybody online for a extension of the deal. Last night, if you get my market research, I was writing about the fact that what really has to happen is you got to find a sweet spot. That spot where U.S. shale producers find that they're right on the cusp of profit or no profit, and it stops them from throwing rig after rig out there. OPEC getting prices to the point where they can live with less income, but not sub $40 or in Brent sub $50 in very low numbers in there for their numbers. Everybody's got to be realistic that you got to take from the emerging markets and developed countries outside of the U.S., get stockpiles down so that everything starts, if you will, normal demand eating up those piles. How do you get that done? Well, that's called the sweet spot, and that's what the markets are looking for. Where does that come in? It's anybody's guess. If OPEC, most likely, and they will, probably, I think the odds are like 95, 99% they're going to extend the cut. That's how much I think they're going to do it. But if they didn't, and let's assume I'm wrong, well, at that point in time, 40, nah, you're going. 3s will be the numbers you're looking at on our oil. As for the French election this week, one of the reasons gold's getting no bid is Mr. Macron seems to have over a 20-point lead in the polls. That's big. Can it be overcome? Of course it can be overcome. You do remember the name Donald Trump. Anything can happen at the last minute. And as usual there's talk that there's Russian interference, blah, blah. You'll hear all this. But come Sunday, we're all at least going to have that behind us one way or the other. So be aware that that is definitely something that the markets are paying attention to. Let's talk about more research, because if you're watching grains, if you're watching energy, one of the things you look for are what's the seasonality of the market. They have interactive charts that allow you to go back and see 30-year basis, 15-year basis, 5-year. What has the markets done? You can also look at bull years, bear years. They will list the different years out, and you can remove one or the other with the interactive chart. Then they lay it out for you in another way. You get to see the seasonality in terms of trades that have worked at least, I think it's 80% of the time, over the past 15 years. So you start putting everything together to see, will those trades continue to work, is your opinion. Not theirs, by the way. And the one thing you do with this is it is not a tool because it's worked in the past, and I've seen trades that work 100% of the time in the past. I've gone in them, and I have seen them not work, okay? It's that year that it stops working, whatever. You never go blind into seasonal trades, ever. You use it with other tools. So to get a 2-week trial, you give us a call, go to our website. Why? What's going to happen is we're going to take your name and so on. We are going to send it to Moore. Moore will send you a user ID and a password, and away you go on this. It's certainly worth you looking at to see if it fits in with your style of trading, but it is not an absolute. In fact, nothing I've ever seen is an absolute, so that gives you an idea on it all. If you want, you can, on some websites, it'll say, click here for Ira's free offers underneath this, and or up here, you'll see an icon. If you're watching us on YouTube, click that and the form will appear there. Choose the offerings you want. I'm Ira Epstein. You have a great weekend. I'll see you at the end of the day videos.